Hey, this is Manley with verticallessons.com. Lately, this month in particular, I've been reflecting on a loss in my past life. 21 years ago, I lost my mom, and she was 58 years old at the time. And this September 4th would have been her 80th birthday. So she's been on my mind a lot, and specifically the lessons that she taught me, and even more specifically, things that she did in her life really well that were her superstar tendencies or her gifts. I've looked at those and asked myself, how can I live those out? How am I living up those in my life, or representing that attribute that I really admired about her? Which, by the way, this in and of itself I think is a worthwhile lesson, and maybe this is what you take from this video, is that process of reflecting back on someone that, and they don't have to be dead, by the way. They can be, I know it's kind of heavy. It could be just someone that that's no longer in your life day in and day out, that was a positive influence. But whoever comes up in your heart, your head, when you think back and reflect, when you think of that person, what is it about them that really stood out? And what do you want to live up to? What's something that they did or they do specifically very well that you want to do more of in your life to serve and support others? And specifically, one of the things that comes up when I think back about my mom relates to a story that many of you have probably heard if you've heard my signature keynote or leadership team workshop experience. Often I'll do my national anthem story, signature story, about how when I was in high school I had this wild idea that I wanted to, first of all, play the guitar, the national anthem on the guitar at our basketball games. And then after doing the first one, I was more deeply inspired to actually, a more wild and crazy idea was to be inspired by Eddie Van Halen and Jimi Hendrix, and do it in a way that if both of those two people came together in one and played it, what would that sound like? What's interesting is my mother caught wind of this idea by being a leader in herself, in of itself, the moment where she said, "Hey, why aren't you excited about this anymore?" And I said, "Well, I've got this wild idea." And she said, "Well, what's the idea?" And as soon as she asked me to share the idea, I shut myself down. And here's the number one point I want to make about this is little improvements or innovations, I think, most often die in our heads, and they never get the light of day, right? Because as soon as it pops in your mind, you might be like, well, no, we've always done it that way. Or what if they don't, I'm new here. This sounds stupid. What if people think I'm stupid? Or, maybe you don't see all that direct dialogue, but that's all underneath that and churning, and most often shutting us down. Or it starts to shut us down after we've raised our hand a few times and shared something that was of interest to improve or innovate. And then eventually we're like, okay, I'm just not going to raise my hand anymore. So with that in mind, my mom saw this in me, and she wouldn't let me do that. She would not let me bury, as I say in my story, my boldness and my brilliance was trying to be buried by resistance and fear in this case. And she said, no, let's explore it. And I said, well, Mom, I don't have the equipment to do what I want to do. Well, we'll figure that out. What else? What else is concerning you? Well, I think some people won't like it. Okay, let's address that. What about, technically, you don't know how to do it? I said, well, I don't know exactly how to do it, right? Because we don't have all the answers right away most often. It's very rare we have anything that's going to improve or innovate things where we know exactly how we'll implement that, how we'll actually do the improvement. But it's the seed of the idea I want to make sure you're a steward of. Right, so it's just like a seed in nature. They had to be careful. They're delicate. They need just the right amount of water and just the right amount of sun or shade for it to grow in anything. And I think ideas that become an innovation or even just a simple improvement are often just that little seed of an idea. She would not let it die. And most of you know the rest of the story is I did get the courage. I borrowed the courage from her to do this and to move forward, and she's really encouraged me in that way. So what I want to inspire you to do is to be more like my mother in this way, and that is to, number one, drive awareness and be more aware of when you see people in that mode. And maybe you see it on their face in the meeting, or they go to raise their hand, or you have to be more in tune and more aware to pick this up. Otherwise, if you're just oblivious day in, day out, which is a struggle for all of us, I think, right? We get in our grind like, I'm sorry, you had something to say I didn't even notice. We're all on this grind. So driving more awareness and being more intentional about that, looking for those little moments in yourself and in others to then say, hey, what do you think? And I see something on your face there. Do you have an idea? A lot of people, for different reasons, depending on the culture and whatever the environment is for your life and your work and your family and otherwise, may or may not feel comfortable. Some personalities are very outspoken and always sharing those ideas. Others have incredibly brilliant insight or ways they want to contribute, but just don't feel comfortable sharing it. So that's up to you. And by the way, I feel extremely passionate about this. That's up to you whether you think of yourself as the official leader of the group or not. I think the more you embrace that mindset, leadership mindset, to say, hey, I individually can lead this person in this moment, in this time, and encourage them and perhaps even inspire them to just explore this idea in a safe place, maybe it's a private meeting or whatever, when the consequences are low. Be that person that creates that environment. That's what my mom did. She sat me down on our couch in our home that evening, and we just explored it. She said literally, she kept coming back to that. Every time I would resist, she'd say, it's just us on the couch. We're just having a conversation. What would it look like? Let's just explore it. I really believe that's where most good ideas and most innovation, just little improvements, they die in our minds before we ever even mention it. So be that person that looks for it, identifies it, and then creates that safe space for the person to explore it. And you're going to serve people. You're going to help elevate their efforts and their results. And you're going to be a leader as well. You're going to be leading in that moment and encouraging people to bring their best every day. I hope this is helpful. I hope that you have an opportunity to reflect on people who've been in your life in the past, who are maybe not in a day-to-day way. What lessons, what attributes, how did they show up that inspired you? How can you bring that forward, right? Part A. And then specifically on the innovation improvement space, are you willing to drive that awareness, create those spaces, look for those opportunities to encourage someone just to start exploring those ideas, so that those simple potential ideas and seeds of something that's possible get the attention that they deserve, so that you maybe create something amazing and maybe improve things a little bit and make life a little bit better. I hope life is a little better now that you've watched this video, and I hope it helped you in some way. If it did, please share it, like it, comment, and I hope I can support you in some way directly. If I can, let me know. I appreciate you. Thanks.